Right, guys, it's a bit heavy today. We had thunderstorms last night, but instead of usually it charges the atmosphere and then they clear off, and you're left with, a sunny day or whatever. But now it's stayed a little bit. It's quite heavy today, and it's been ultra dry and clear the last few weeks. Been nice air. But it's a bit heavy duty today. It's a bit like humid, almost, So anyway, this what I was talking about yesterday about the pre-hiking before the Euro, and it's not for another 6 months yet. Now this has been identified by, and now there's a report. So I think they may have watched the president, because the president's now repeating what I said yesterday, No, he knows what's going on. Me and the president, maybe I could become like an advisor or like his right hand man. So I could be or his diplomat to tell the UK what's happening as well. So he said that the exactly what I said, that the pre-hiking. I think he's watched a video yesterday, and it does happen. You see a lot of people. They repeat things from. I watch a thing. The Duran and Alex Christoforou, who's the younger guy out of the two, he calls Zelensky because they banned Z at the beginning of the war because the Russians put Z on their equipment because they were driving about in some of the same gear, both armies. So one put a Z on. So Zelensky banned Z from things. So Alex Christoforou said, well, he must be Zelensky then, because he can't have Z in his name. So he's called him Zelensky ever since. But other people, and even people in the media, have called Zelensky Alensky. And he's pointed it out. Alex Christoforou. So you never know. If President Rumen Radov is watching my stuff, I doubt it. But but it is happening. This get price hiking, the pre-hiking before they join the Euro. Because they'll have to behave themselves when they join, the day they join, which looks like it may go ahead, despite all this, the goings on now, and it's picking up a little bit more speed now and a little bit more, but whether they'll be able to U-turn it is a tall order, but it might happen. If enough people get it, angry enough, and people here, if they get wind of it, that they're pre-gouging because of the Euro coming up, and they believe it, then they'll want things done. They'll be, they don't mess about here, and the politicians here, when they know that the population is serious, They do things. They change things. They do. They did it when they hiked the price up of the fuel. And a lot of things during the lockdowns and all that. They hiked a lot of things up, which they shouldn't have been affected by anything. Petrol. What's that got to do with the flu? Anyway, it's the same petrol. And but the government did something about it, and they do. And there's been a few cases of that where people, and not even massive protest, they just know when to when to like listen to the people, because they're not that strong. They haven't got these paramilitary police here or anything like that. You know, they're expected to make the country better. So, apart from all the corruption and everything, but and they have done, and a lot of it's by just getting out of the way and let the country sort itself out, because they don't really have a government with with strong. They have coalitions, and they're always collapsing, and if they can't agree on like one thing or another. Except this one's a bit different, the Euro, because they've got enough parties that are pro-Euro to not scupper it. But it might happen. You never know. It might. Because this guy's the president, and me, we're like shouting from the rooftops here. This Euro is not good. It's not good for anyone. And he keeps saying the same thing. It's not going to benefit the people, the man in the street. It's not. And it never has done anywhere. There's no evidence anywhere where it's changed the fortunes of a country by joining. It hasn't. There's lots of evidence that it's been detrimental. Spain, Italy, none of them have done any good in the Euro. Greece, basket case. Portugal, basket case. Well, Portugal's supposed to be good on paper now. It's like Ireland. They've got these corporations which make the GDP look good, but like it's just a false illusion on how they do numbers, and it's kind of like that in the UK. They say they're one of the wealthiest countries and all the rest of it. Not the whole country isn't. On paper, the country, because they do mostly money laundering in the city of London, and that accounts for a lot of money. So they say the country's wealthy. You go and have a walk around Birmingham or anywhere and come back and tell us if it's wealthy. Because and the wealthiest country, and people believe it. People actually say, well, we're living in it, one of the wealthiest countries, and they say it in America as well. Actually, on the streets, the places are falling apart by the look of it, and the people are falling apart. It's not like here. It's like normal life. And I would always say, it's affordable. If your bottom rung can get through the day with a couple of meals and somewhere to sleep and not being turfed out on the street, then that's the very bottom rung can get through the day, which they can here, and all over the Balkans, they can. You can call it what you want. If you can get by, And these people on the bottom rung, they're not in loads of debt. They're just skint. And you'll always have bottom rung people, but they can get by here. It's still possible. And they might be, living in like whatever caravans. I've lived in a caravan. It's not that bad. Quite enjoy it, really. I lived in caravans for the last five or 6 years I was in the UK, didn't have a house. From 2016, I didn't have a house. When I went to work for 6 months, I was staying in caravans or I got some kind of, short let or something like that. But anyway, so that's the difference between the places. Anyway, coming back to this Euro thing, let's see if it can pick up a bit of steam. And who knows, it might be able to scupper it. And if they really, really get wind of this CBDC and they understand it, and they get to understand it, because not that many people talk about these things outside of like on the, these channels that I watch. This programmable money and all the rest of it, and this Christine Lagarde. You ask them, if you ask probably 100 people, even in Bulgaria, who's Christine Lagarde, they wouldn't know. And she's the one who wants to control all their money. And they say it outwardly. There's this one guy, what was his name? Larson or something. Massive guy, huge. He's like, the biggest guy in the world. And he's like, he's saying, oh yeah, we've got to control the money and make sure that we know every what everyone's spending every penny on, or every cent, or whatever. And he said it outright. And he's from the ECB, or one of these bodies who's pushing this CBDC stuff. And Bulgaria might just walk straight into it if they're not. Well, they will. They will if they're not careful, because they're on about bringing it in, and you can see the way the banks are going now. They're all linked into all these government arms, like the tax office. Like, you've got to declare your tax number now in the bank here. Even me, as like a long-term resident, the bank froze my account last week, and I had to give them my tax details and UTR number, which I'd already given them, and the UTR number and everything, which I'm quite happy to do, because it doesn't really mean much. With coming up to the pension, by the time I get to the pension, I'll make sure there's nothing in the bank. So you haven't got any savings. So they're looking at savings now and all this kind of stuff. And with this CBDC, it's going to be so easy. They're just going to take your money at source. If you're in any debt or anything like that. Well, they do now anyway. They can. They can take it out your wages in the UK, and they do. People who are in debt. And they're going to start doing it, they say, and with the student loans and stuff like that. They can head it off at the pass, And there's no hiding. If you get your salary paid into the bank, and it's all linked to the tax office and like any debts what you have and all that, like credit card and well that's the bank anyway, so you don't need surveillance for that. So you got to be careful now with savings, because this is coming in. And they reckon, well, I can see it going the way of Australia, where even pensions are means tested. So you might get a very small pension if you've got some money saved up, which is what in the UK you need it. You can't live on the pension there. You can't. You can't live. You couldn't live on 12 grand a year. I don't think you could anyway. You could here, and you can here still, quite easily. And I've been through that as well. And actually, I got some good comments, And one commenter said, I wasn't that surprised. He said they bought a house here. And I'd influenced them. And they're probably going to do it anyway or whatever. But like, they'd taken note of a lot of things I'd said. That's what they said. The wisdom. What a comment. But I hope I'm sure that if they're listening to me, they'll do okay, you know. I mean, you know, not because they're listening to me, but because they've got the patience and they've taken note of the information, which a lot of it's veiled anyway. Because you can't say that much on here. You can't. And I've got to be very careful all the time, even now, what you say and about certain things, especially this kind of stuff like savings and that, where it's hide your money and all that. You've got to be careful because I might let the cat out the bag. So I've got to be veiled. And certain people get it. You can tell by the comments that certain people know what I'm on about, kind of thing. But like the general thing is like, you know, basically the way that my information's coming out is that you can afford to live here in the Balkans, and there's lots of ways to do it. There's loads of ways to do it, especially if you've got, you know, you're coming up to pension age. Someone commented the other day that you can't claim the pension from abroad anymore. You need a UK address. I haven't heard of that one. I haven't heard of that. I don't think that's right, actually, but it might be. You never know. It might be coming in. Wouldn't be surprised, but like I haven't heard that. And on the I went straight to the government gateway, actually, the HMRs, and it's all there. You can claim. What you don't get in some countries, it's they call it frozen, is you don't get the yearly upgrade, the yearly gain, but you do here at the moment. But you don't in certain countries like USA, Australia. I don't know why, like why you shouldn't get it there. It's all to do with reciprocal agreements, I think. Anyway, so I think with Europe, there's still quite strong links, and I think they might just sneak back in to be in bed with Europe or a new type of EU, because this one's not going to. They're going the wrong way. This crowd now, and they're getting it when a couple more people start leaving, or they're coming to the point now where they've got to throw some of them out, and there's no mechanism to throw people out, and all they're going to do is just like Hungary, take all the voting rights away and all the money and benefits, and then they'll just leave. So they can't. They're stuck really with the likes of Hungary, but they've got to change. And Bulgaria is like a silent Hungary, really. They just tell them anything they want to hear. Bulgaria, they just tell them anything they want to hear. I think a lot of it's to do with the language and the coalitions. They can't control Bulgaria like they can control other places, and they can't control Hungary either. Unless they get someone else in with a majority, but it's hard to do here. And they put a few of them in, these globalists, and one of them's just resigned now, Kirill Petkov. He was from Canada, and he was one of these plants, like Macron. You know, they come from nowhere, and Obama. They just get planted because they say they're, you know, they say and do all the right things, and they just do what they're told, basically. And he came in here and it didn't last because Kirill Petkov, and he just came from nowhere, but he couldn't deal with all the coalition stuff and all that. And anyway, he's just resigned. I don't know what he'll do next. Probably pop up somewhere else, you know. Anyway, so me and the president, you've got to listen to us and stop this euro nonsense, you know, because it's not going to do anybody any good. And if you can't see that now, you know, you're never going to see it. There's no evidence of anywhere else who's benefited, really. Let's say benefit, or the fortunes have changed, because Bulgaria's doing okay. I mean, I've got to tell Bulgaria, you're doing okay. It's not bad here, and they keep thinking, even now, they keep thinking, and people tell me that the UK's like rich, paved with gold. My road trip manager, he's never been there, but that he thinks, he says there's no such thing as a poor Englishman. And I'm like, you know, and he believes it. And I say to him, you need to go there. You need to go there, and I'll take you around Bradford or Luton or Pontefract, Bootle. You know, I'll take him round. It's Jordan at the floor, and you know, a lot of the young ones now, they've been to UK, and a lot of them quite like it because it's new. It's novelty, innit? If you go anywhere, whether you've got money or not, and it's quite novel. It is different, and if you end up in a decent, you know, you can end up in a decent little place in that, but it's the novelty, and then it wears off after a while when they realise it's like, it's not. It's hard to get by, and even now it's impossible. If you're on the bottom, below, I'd say 40 grand a year. You know, you're struggling through life to get through the day. You're struggling every day. Once it builds up and builds up, and you want things like a car and that. The young people can't get cars now. You see insurance, they're saying things on these Brit rants like starting about £3,000 for young people, and it always was expensive. But now some of them are getting quotes up to 10 grand. They can't have a car, basically. Anyway, so that's you know, there's hope now. There's hope in this Euro opposition. So let's see what happens. But I think it's too late actually. But we'll see. Cheers.